Hi there, and welcome to Tech Life, a channel where I aim to review everything from selfie sticks to laptops, IDEs for coding, video editing software, software for producing thumbnails, essentially anything tech related. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. If you have anything that you think I should review, please let me know in the comments, and I'll do my best to review the product. This video is going to be a quick follow-up to my previous VSDC tutorials. I'll leave a link to those videos in case you haven't seen them yet. I'll be showing you the motion blur functionality in this video. Motion blur is the blurring effect that you would normally associate with great speed. So imagine if something is racing past you at some speed, you tend to see a blurring image as it whizzes past you. That's what blur motion is trying to mimic in VSDC. So let's get started. Let's see how this is applied and how it works. If you've seen my previous tutorials on VSDC, you'll recognize this Lamborghini project that's currently loaded into VSDC and is visible on your screens at the moment. I'll be using this project again to demonstrate motion blur. I'll be applying the motion blur to this text object at the end of the timeline over here. So we can go ahead and do a single left click on that object in order to select this, and what we'll do firstly is to add a transition to this object, and the transition can be added by ensuring that the text object is selected, going up to video effects, coming down to transitions, and in this case we're going to apply this push transition. This dialog informs us that it's going to place this transition at the end of the scene, and it's going to add it to a new layer, which is fine. So we can see that the object has been added to the end of the scene. What we're going to do is just drag it to the start of the scene and place it there. Next, we need to change some of the properties of this push transition, and we can quite easily do that by ensuring that the object is selected and then using the properties window over here in order to make changes to the various different properties. The first property that we are going to change is the mode, and that's going to change from right to left, and we're also going to change the property called directly. Currently is set to false, and we're going to set that to true, and all the other properties look fine. I'll go ahead and save that. Okay, and now we're going to copy this object, and we can quite easily do that by doing Control-C for copy, moving off the object, and doing Control-V for paste. And the new object has been copied to the layer above. We'll move them onto the same layer, but I'm going to move this new object to the end of the scene, and we're going to change some of the properties of this as well now. So type is fine, which is side. We're going to change mode from right to left to right, and directly is going to be set to false, and everything else looks fine. So I'm going to save that quickly. I'm just going to quickly play this scene just to see if it looks okay. Excellent, that looks fine. Now we can actually go ahead and add the motion blur effect. If we quickly go back to scene, we ensure that the text object is selected. we come up to video effects and filters, and then select motion blur. This dialog informs us that the motion blur effect will last the whole duration of the text objects, and also a new layer will be created onto which this effect will be inserted. So we can OK that. We can see that the motion blur effect lasts the whole duration of the text objects. We don't really want that, so what we can do, we can change the duration of this object in one of two ways. We could either hold down the left button key and drag this back to the position we wish to have it, or we can come up to here and look for the property called duration, and we can change that here. So I'm going to set this to 0100, so that's 1 second, and that's the same length as the first push transition that we placed. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and save that. There's a couple of other properties that we need to change on here. One of those is called blur distance, and that's currently set to 31. We need to change this to 50. And one of the other properties that we should maybe look at and explain is this blur angles. Essentially, blur angles in its simplest form, the value that you enter here will relate to the direction your object is traveling in. So if I can use a diagram to show you. Okay, so if your object is moving in a rightwardly motion, maybe from left to right, then the value that we would enter into that property is 0. If your object is moving in an upwardly direction, then you would enter a value of 90 in that property. Likewise, if your object was moving from right to left, then you would enter 180, and then finally, if your object was moving in a downwardly motion, then you would enter 270. Our text is actually coming in from the left and moving towards the right, so we're going to enter a value of 0 in that property, and I think it's already contained 0, so that's fine. That's excellent. So I can go ahead and save that. We're ready to preview this, I think. Let's go back to scenes, move this back slightly, and hit the preview button. Okay, we can see that the text enters from the left. It is blurred, given the sensation that the text is moving rapidly. Excellent. That's it for this video. Hope you have found it useful. Please like and subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.